It's not easy starting out. A lot of people don't realize that at all, like how hard
Oh
it
my
is,
God, dude, the
how much work
mental,
it is. Like
yeah,
people don't. I have to educate clients on how much work it is to do things. It's
the,
unreal.
the mental battle of like being a, for me personally, for being like a quote unquote creator, influencer, whatever tag you want to throw on it,
Yeah.
is insane because every day you have to wake up and make something that doesn't exist yet, but it's in your head.
Hmm.
And you got to somehow pull that out of your head and throw it into real life as best as you can. And then hope that like this, you can improve on it and then it comes out good enough that people can still just look at it and say, this is a piece of crap.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's like that mental battle is just something people think that like, oh, it just clicks. No, it doesn't. It's terrible. Like the amount of anxiety and doubt that I have to like
Well, it's
just,
imposter syndrome is what it
yeah,
is. Even to this day, like I deal with it. Like I have like a really awesome like YouTube idea, but it's the same thing like my own YouTube channel for certain things, and it's just like that imposter syndrome of like I feel like I'm just a guy, didn't go to film school, didn't go to any of this stuff. Like I'm just a dude who lived next door to a fan cave. The guy at the fan cave didn't know any of these skills. I kind of did, learned it, left my government job to start my own media business after learning all those skills, and then been doing that. And it's kind of like, oh well, I'm gonna go on and talk like we were just talking about cameras. I'm like, I didn't go to film school. I didn't get trained this is literally me watching other people on YouTube. And I know there's value in like the conversations we're having about cameras and stuff and learning,
yeah.
but it's like I'm just a guy with a couple kids, married, like nothing, like I'm not, kin to Steven Spielberg or anything like that. So I deal with that a lot. And my only advice is you've got to treat your own hit like voice in your head as like a hater you would just fucking ignore. That's when
Yeah.
I personally started to see more successes. Like I just be like, fuck off. Like in my head of like, you're just, I'm like, fuck that. Let's go. And then as soon as I stopped like that kind of thinking, it got a little more confident that came with it. And then like, you always think your stuff is not that great, but, or like you notice the little finite details, like this is a little off. But then I've learned like clients, viewers, and unless you're making a video making channel, generally the audience isn't going to notice it. Like they won't notice the imperfections for what you're doing with bench clears, because you're not here talking about here's how you make a great cinematic video. Because when you do that, then you're opening yourself up to, you better have a good cinematic video if you're preaching that. But yeah, the imposter syndrome is a real thing in this space for sure. And it just takes time to get it. And then I just picture it like the school bully in your head, like, no, you're just regular. It's like, fuck that, fuck you. No, I can
Yeah.
do
And
this. Like, this will be fun. This will be great. So,
exactly. And even sometimes like if I make a video and I think it's really good and like, oh, no one's really come at this topic from this perspective and I think it's going to do well. And then you just get absolutely just shit on and you make the mistake of going through the comments and stuff. And that is just such like a deflating experience. It's just, I can't even put it into words sometimes, like how depressing it can be. Cause you think like, oh my God, like, are these people real? Like, are these people right? Am I really just this bad at this? And I just can't climb out of this hole. But in reality, that's not how it works. Like, just take smaller steps. And then those people that put those comments are going to forget it within an hour. And you're just going to be holding on to this emotional luggage for no real reason.
yeah, it's such a weird balance of like some reading comments can give you that like great critique, like I didn't think of that, or this. So it's like it's kind of like a dangerous lottery of like, oh, oh no. But thing that helped me best when I was like starting out this is, especially with like any self-doubt and stuff, is like it actually makes you a lot mentally stronger going through what you're doing now. Because I have buddies my age and stuff, and then they're like still nervous about doing X, Y, and Z, or whatever. And I said, like, you want to get over that, put yourself on the internet.
Yeah, seriously.
Right, it builds up your thick skin. Like same thing started off with these comments I remember with the cave, and they're like, oh, you guys aren't as funny as you think you are, this. And then I just started being like, I don't care. Like as stupid as that sounds, you cannot, it's so hard. You got to care about obviously what people to view, but then it's like, I'm enjoying this moment on camera with my buddy, we're having fun, a couple other people find it funny, if not, then like I kind of don't care, because like that's already the win.
Yeah.
So I always kind of can try to consider like the moments is the win. The views, you know, sponsors, anything else that comes from it is a bonus. Whereas I think a lot of people do it the other way around. They expect that they're going to get that stuff up front, and then they hope they enjoy it. And they're working for the goal of brands or getting paid and all this. And like for me, I've learned the best thing you can do is work for the just for the moment or that little experience of live stream, hanging out on your, you know, having a great time filming. Then it's like, if, oh great, everyone else likes it, then great. But like I enjoyed that moment, and you know, enjoying the process is kind of the main.
Exactly. I think some people go at a project with like a weird approach of like, I'm doing this for virality and going famous and all this type of stuff. Like, and I get why people fall into that trap, because you see like people on TikTok or Instagram or whatever.
You hear the glory stories of like, I threw out a tweet, now I'm a millionaire. And like I've had clients when they're like, oh, let's throw ads up on Facebook and this and this and this. And they're like, you know, it takes time. You got to learn it. You got to spend, you got to retarget, you got to do all this stuff. And like we've been seeing with what Joe's been doing with the Easy A guys, but like, they just think he's like, oh, I thought you just throw money on Facebook and you make money. And it's like, no, there's so much below the bottom of the iceberg. I always use the iceberg as a good example. Is like, most people don't see like my first videos when we first started with the cave and trying to learn this stuff. And it was, now looking back, it's cringeworthy. But at the time, I love the moment and the process of creating that. Like, I look back at like cringeworthy, but I'm like, man, that was so much fun. Like I think our first vlog was, we mailed a 9-foot giant wood goalie stick to a goalie convention, which was for mental health. So they did an auction for it. Someone bought it for $700. And our first vlog, I'm like, we should do a vlog. We got enough crazy stuff here. And then we walked down to the mailbox, and literally it was me walking with a 9-foot goal stick down to shipping it through UPS. And like, it's kind of like cringeworthy looking back now of all the stuff I've learned. But like Landon and Ken's son, who was filming, was just, you know, we just had a good time playing, and then I enjoyed the creative process. So, you know, even if you get the bad comments about those, I just look back like, that was a great memory. And now I actually have like a document, like a yearbook version of like the progress of the cave as a brand, or like all that stuff. And so looking back into those yearbooks is nostalgic and really awesome.
Yeah. And I think it's something that, like, in the grand scheme of things, the way I look at it personally is like, even let's just say like, you know, our personal brands explode and you do you get super famous and stuff like that. It's at the end of the day, like money, success, all that fades away at some point. And what's going to end up happening is like, you're going to be looking back on your life and be like, really, was it really all worth it? Like, what are the memories I'm going to have? What are the relationships I'm going to have with people? And if you can look back on your life and say like, I mailed a 9-foot hockey stick to a mental health convention, I have a wild story to tell for the rest of my life. And I think that's something that's, you can't put a price on. You can't change that. And you can't like, whatever someone criticizes you for, they can't take that away from you.
No, and the one thing I love about the work that like you and I are doing in this type of stuff with it, and one reason why I've always wanted to like start my own YouTube channel, mainly more to document fun stuff that goes on, is like, I've always loved that like music and like film are just historic.
Yeah.
Like if you're, you know, an actor like Matthew McConaughey, once he passes away, he's still around forever. We're watching Marlon Brando and, you know, Godfather. That stuff is timeless. Like, it doesn't go away. And so like, I, you know, from not a movie star level, but like a dad and family is like, this is what I consider the new age of family videos. Like,
that's a good point.
If I create and do these things on this channel, I'm enjoying the process. Hopefully, knock on wood, nothing tragically ever happens. But like, if something did, my kids would be able to see what I think I was around 30, like 30 and 37 I am now, of like 7 years of documentation of videos of what was their dad like at 37. I remember with like Logan Paul, like when he was going through all this stuff, and someone made a comment or something like, your grandkids will not like this or something, like he doesn't have kids yet or anything. It just made me realize we're not even at the point yet where like in this generation, in this content game or whatever, where grandkids can watch their grandparents when they were like 20.
Yeah. It's
like
nuts.
my grandpa is 90 something. He I get all these amazing stories at dinner table of he was 19, it was after like the second war, like 1950 or something. He was in New York. So right after, like, think of New York, the classic New York. That's what he got to go for like 4 years or whatever before my meeting my grandma and this. And the only thing when he's telling me all these amazing stories, and I'm like, I fucking wish he had a vlog.
Yeah.
Right? The moments of like interaction with people, how did he deal with these things? You get the high level and after 50 years or whatever. So that's always stuck with me of like, I'm listening to my grandpa do this. Now we have this ability with this stuff in storage, and it's where it's like, it's almost like a you can make it public, but you could do a private video storage dump where, my great grandkids could see what I was like between 30 and 37 and onwards, of the personality type, the humor, how did they treat people, like way more getting to see my grandpa, not through stories, hearing them, but visually, and how did he on the micro, like we have a vlog of Ken and I, we're trying to get to Boston, flew to Toronto, connection storm, from Toronto to Boston, and we had free tickets to front row seats from Milek to go to Boston, Florida game. So we were going there for an event, flew to Toronto, storm. We drove, rented the truck because we needed to get there the next night. We rented a truck, drove through the storm, like 10 hours or whatever, across New York State, and got there for national anthem. And so we documented it and did this. And like, I can tell this story, but the minute jokes that made it fun, me and Ken traveling, like that stuff is all documented there. If you wanted to, or like my grandkids could go see the minor details of that stuff, or how Ken and I interacted. And that's where I see the real power of it. I don't think we've, like, when that legacy, I guess is the best word for it, the legacy opportunity for these platforms, people are thinking for the fame and the money and stuff. I'm thinking it more as like, that's the bonus. If that happens, great. But if I can go and create and do things, make a good living, and have a great video journal of my life that will hopefully be timeless, like a movie star's work, that is very comforting, I guess.
Yeah. And I think the accessibility of just like our kid, my future kids, your kids now, like they can pull up whatever they want now. Whereas like, my siblings who are older than me would tell me back in the day, like, oh, you have to pull out the VHS tapes, pop them all in, stuff like that. Whereas you can just pull up your phone, AirPlay it. And I think that accessibility is such a huge difference that like we haven't even comprehended that to this day. I think.
That legacy part of it, of like, I picture like Logan Paul's grandkids being like, why did you go to Japan and do this forest thing? Once again, this can be a bittersweet thing with this. It can either be fully against you if you don't do it right or do it appropriately, or aware of those type of social issues and stuff. But like, if you are just going through your life and documenting and putting it up there, like he's obviously doing a little bit more like shock and awe for views and so forth. But that for me was like, holy crap, there's like a legacy thing here that hasn't even been and really explored, or we haven't even got to where grandkids like, oh man, like, my grandpa was Logan Paul and had to go through and watch his daily vlogs for like however many years he did it. And I'm like, that to me is more powerful and more enriching than probably the money that would come with that, is that comfort of having it documented.
Yeah. And I think even he could take that incident and take it into a positive direction, where he could tell his kids, his future grandkids, like, hey, this was a really dumb idea. Don't do this. Like, this is what I experienced. These are lessons I took away from this experience. This is what, this is what you don't do with other human beings and stuff like that. You don't have to do this just for clicks and stuff like that. So I think he could really turn it into a positive direction. And,
like a learning example. Yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah. And I think like, as much as we want to like hide those moments of cringe of like our first videos or whatever, it's like, no, it's like, they can be good reminders of like the innocence that we go into this business with, where we're just like, I just want to make videos. I want to talk about hockey. I want to talk about baseball. What I want to talk about art. I want to talk about movies. I want to talk about music, whatever it may be. Those are good reminders to have of like, oh, this is why I'm in this. I never cared about the money when I had 0 subscribers or 2 views, whatever it may be. It's just a good reminder, I think, to have on deck.
Yeah, you're nail on the head there for sure.
I guess we'll do an intro now. I guess
we'll do an intro now. Yeah, we.
All right.
This is what happens when content creators kind of get together and
No, it's
just
awesome because like
familiar.
we would still have this conversation even if the camera wasn't turned on or we weren't
100%.
recording and all that type of stuff. And I think it's important because like content creator is still a new type of job that like we can't even really fathom as a career. And because it's so unknown and you have no idea what people are going to like or dislike, me myself personally, I'm always trying to figure out what is a tip or a gem that I could take away from someone and apply to my videos, whatever that may be. Like I'm still learning, trying to figure out what works on TikTok,
You'll
what works on,
always be learning, man. That's the cool part. That's the cool and
yeah,
frustrating part about this line
so
of work
frustrating.
is like you want to know about full thing about cameras. Like it just takes so much time. One thing I would, one thing that I've learned through through business, through all this stuff that might be helpful for you too is you want to find the hard things, because the hard things are what pays well for business, and it's also the hard things are what if it's not hard, then everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to be somebody who's doing something, put in the time and effort to learn cameras, whatever, because most people don't know it. It's those it sounds like you need like a cost of entry, right? Like if there was no cost of entry to get into clubs or whatever, no cost of entry or barriers, people would just go and do it. It's the same thing. Like if you could just make millions of dollars by posting on Twitter, everyone would be doing it.
Yeah.
So it's, look at the barriers of the things that are hard that you don't know is like, okay, once I learn that, now it's like another barrier that the regular person who would try to do this themselves is going to need me to do it from a business perspective. So yeah, like editing's tough and tough to learn and stuff. And once you get it, then that's a value because a lot of other people can't do it. So the harder the thing is, the more you're going to get paid. It's just the nature of the beast. But you do want to find those places that have a barrier of entrance and then work your ass off to get through it. And then that's where you can start like, oh no, like I'm one of the only few people that has experience shooting hockey videos or whatever, like, oh, okay, well, I can't think of anybody else who does that. So then here's the barrier of cost of entry. So that's how I kind of look at the things that are like challenging, like learning like animation or stop motion, those type of things. Like it's tedious, it's a headache, but then all of a sudden someone wants me to do it. Well, it's tedious and a headache for them. So they're coming to me, tedious and headache for me. So then you can put a higher price point on it because of that cost of barrier to learn it.
Yeah, and I think it's also important just like as humans to like just challenge ourselves consistently. And one of my favorite movies of all time, Goodfellas.
Oh,
I can't even fathom today how Martin Scorsese envisioned that movie and made that movie come to life in 2022, let alone in the 90s or 89, whenever that movie came out. Like the barriers and obstacles that him and the entire film crew had to overcome to get every single shot right, marry that music with each scene. It's incredible, and I'm sure it must have been an insanely rewarding experience. And that's just my example of like, oh, I want to do something like that. What am I going to have to do to get to that point? Okay, I got to go through these obstacles first.
right.
It's
Yeah,
like
and we're
Rocky.
like, and the thing that got me about that, like same thing, like I think one of my end goals would love to be not like if it got to film directing, but a
Yeah.
lot of my clients, like if I'm shooting like a couple sports stores, we showcase their staff as like the celebrities on the social and stuff and build that community around it. So like I've been enjoying the directing part of like these like 20-year-olds who are working at a sports store, asking them like, like what was your latest purchase, or like who do you think's a better golfer or better race car driver between the bosses, right? Like, and getting them, what I've enjoyed is getting them really comfortable on camera. Like was first off for like a 17 to 20-year-old, this is going on their business social, it's like, but now they're super comfortable, they see what we do with it, it looks good, it's fun, and it's not as, try to explain to them, it's not as stiff as it is when we're recording. And once they kind of know that, I've really, for me, taken a lot of joy and like made them really comfortable. Now I come up to them and be like, hey, we're going to do something for this. They're like, yeah, let's do it. This is fun. I don't have
Yeah.
to do my regular work. We can do some of this fun social videos or paid promos. And, but I just learned that like with those level of things, like how much planning goes into it. Like that's, and I'm okay at planning, but I'm an executor. I want to go out and execute more so than sitting around at a table and talking about it. And unfortunately, to get to that level, that's the stuff you have to be really good at is, the director controls the story and kind of where to put the camera. but it's more of the nitty gritty detail of the writing and everything that's just like, to me, is like, it's so impressive. Just like you said with Goodfellas, like that stuff's just so impressive.
Yeah, exactly. It's insane. And especially that barrier of like getting comfortable on camera is
Yeah.
so hard because you're just actively thinking about all the people that all your friends that are busting your balls about like, oh, you look like an idiot and all that type of stuff. It's so incredibly difficult. But once you break through, that's probably the first glass ceiling that you got to get through. And then once you get through that, like nothing else is pretty much like impossible. It's not
The
impossible to
amount
get
of
through.
amazing, like you think about everybody who's had to put themselves on camera, and some of your insert your favorites here, whatever it is, that if they didn't, just like everybody's had that, like going through that barrier of like, oh, this is like, we had it with the cave, and oh, what are you going to do with that? I'm like, I don't know, I'm having fun with it. Like the
Just
moment is the payoff. Like people don't realize that at times, that the moment of enjoyment of doing those things, if you enjoy it, like we talk about enjoying the process, I'm like, anything else is a bonus. Like we
yeah.
started the cave with Ken and I, it's like a handshake, and then we're like, we'll do it as long as it's continue to be fun. So everything is based on fun. Are we gonna have fun doing this? Yes, because then what happens if we went to event X, Y, and Z and wasn't fun, we're gonna stop wanting to do it. Because a lot of times when you start throwing money into it, it doesn't become fun, right? That's what people say,
Yeah.
like it's hard if you find your dream job and it's your passion, but then you don't ever want to create or pick up a camera again or something, because now it's a job and that's all you do, and it takes away the fun of it. Like professional athletes, like a lot of them after they retire, it's like that was a job for them. They don't want to put on skates. They haven't put on skates for five. I think I saw Willie Mitchell said that he had on his social or something, like hadn't skated or put on a pair of skates in like 6 years after his retirement. And I'm like, I get it, but I'm like, that's you're probably burnt out and all those things. So yeah, I get it, but it's also kind of a mind screw that like you think you're an NHLer, like you loved it, you got paid millions of dollars, you loved it, you would continue doing it for fun after, and it's just not the case because money, all that stuff made it a job, and then it just deters you from wanting to do it in your own time.
Yeah. And as a fan, I grew up, I mean, I'm sure you did too. Like you kind of assume that the athletes are happy, traveling all over, playing games all the time. And now with more athlete driven media, it's like you become more aware of the emotional element of playing. You
Right.
know, guys like, I can't even imagine being Claude Giroux and dealing with this shit show of a franchise for 15 years, getting
Yeah.
only to one cup final, losing it to a game winning goal. And for you having been back to a cup final since then, and he just gets like, I can't even fathom within the next week, I'd ask for a trade if I was him. But
Yeah.
he played 1,000 career games with the Flyers. It's impressive. But like, how did the hockey fan cave, like, how did that all come together? Because it's a wild concept.
Yeah, yeah. So the hockey fan cave is my neighbor Ken Shaw. He built the place. It's has 8 TVs, 2 bars. He built and his father-in-law built the entire structure. This is what always blew me away. Is it wasn't just an already a structure that was there. They actually had it in mind to build this place to house their 100+ hockey stick creations. And Ken just started making hockey sticks creations because his son Landon was playing, and so he was around the rink all the time, and then a whole bunch of collect the sticks. And I think the first thing he made was like a boom box for the kids, so they could wheel the music, big boom box, in back in like late '90s or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that was covered in broken hockey sticks. And he's like, "Oh, these are pretty, reusable. They're versatile. They're fantastic for like mudroom floors." And so he just started making things, and then they needed a space. All the hockey stick creations were ending up in the house. So Ken and his buddy just one day went and built the whole structure, and his father-in-law built the whole structure. So that always what blew me away was they did the roof, the electrical, the flooring. For someone who does everything, can create and things digitally, I'm not the most handy guy with building. I can do stuff, but not to the level of them. So I'm always impressed when people can physically go and build those type of structures on top of already doing the 100+ hockey stick creations, like crutches, wine racks, tables, chairs, bars, all that stuff that they did. And that started with him. And then I was his neighbor, and they were playing road hockey out front, and invited me over. And then after a few times, Ken's like, let me show you what I got in the back there. And I'd been warned he had a pretty good fan cave, man cave, but nothing to this extent. Like I
Yeah.
remember like stopping in my tracks and being like, it's in this building. Like, this is it. He's like, yeah, it's a building. It's not just what everybody assumes when you hear the term fan cave, man cave is couple recliners, big screen, framed jersey, couple stories about, they got this at an auction or whatever. But walking in, and yeah, the floor has 1,700 plus hockey sticks. There, everything in there has a story. Very, like, maybe 1% is store bought. The rest of all of the creations are either made, they're donated by people. People have brought them as gifts for Ken, or they've thought of Ken. Like, we had a follower, one of my favorites is we had a follower who came up for a hockey tournament, pretty much has now become one of our good friends and family. And Ken's a diehard Hawks fan, and this family is from Chicago, and they're the follower's dad was one of the original, like, season ticket holders, and he got a brick from the original stadium. And so Nick donated this original brick, verified all this stuff for it, to Ken, to the fan cave, because of what Ken's built, Ken's hospitality, diehard Hawks fan. So for us, the biggest thing that at least I fell in love with, and part of now, like, the work that I do with videos and storytelling, is all the stories that come from every piece in there. It's not, like I said, they just didn't throw it on a black MasterCard and boom, here it is off Amazon in 2 days. It was picked over the years, 5 years to build it. I came up, I think probably 95% of it was done. And then I said to Ken, I'm like, this is nuts. You've got to put this online. And Ken's like, I don't know what the internet is. I always joke about that, but like, yeah, this is where our kind of like Venn diagram works really well, as mine's the digital, his is kind of the physical. And we just started showcasing this stuff. So we, started Twitter, the social aspect, showing the photos, a couple of viral stuff went pretty big. Our love seat, the swinging love seat, that did a couple 5 million runs on Facebook to start off. So we ended up making it our logo, and it works well with the U for Ultimate Hockey Fan Cave. And I think even recently it's like 1.6 million on TikTok, and it's just Ken sleeping on the love seat as it swings. And I'm like, okay, so we produced all these high quality videos. I spent time editing, cinematic, great. This is a great story, great arc, all those things. And then Ken sleeping on the love seat gets 1.6 million. So it just goes to show you a little bit of new climate of social media. But that is, I know that was probably felt like a long story, but that is the short story of the Ultimate Hockey Fan Cave. So we always encourage people, come, if you get to Victoria, plan for a great trip, plan to do everything else in Victoria. It's one of the top spots in Canada to visit, and then set aside a day or a night for the cave to do it. We've had lots of people come and visit, especially after Netflix. We were on Amazing Interiors episode 4, Netflix original series. So after that went live, we were having a lot of people, this is right before the pandemic, a lot of people messaging, hey, we're on the cruise, we're coming in on a cruise, we have 5 hours, we saw this on Netflix, we want to see it. And we don't charge for people to come to the cave. We ask them to, because it is Ken's private residence, not share the address or anything, but to bring what they want to drink, get their transportation to and from, cabs or whatever. And then I always tell people, I'm like, Ken is opening up his private residence, his amazing space, pretty much to strangers at the drop of a dime. Hospitality, bring him a case of beer, bring him something that's a nice gesture, because Ken has spent a lot of time having public people he doesn't know touring through. He does enjoy it, but it is also taking time out of his day. So so now it's starting to pick back up, because after the pandemic, all the cruise ships and stuff in Victoria are slowly starting to come back. So we still have people, hey, can we come visit? Yes, you can. DM us, send a message through the website, ultimatehockeyfancave.com. And we do our best to accommodate getting us to having people experience the cave as much as possible and hear more of these stories more in detail.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, talk your shit on that Netflix, though. God damn. I ain't never had a Netflix star talk to me.
No, well, my the funny part is like then with that, they flew a crew out from the UK. They stayed with us for about 4 days, and we did a bunch of work to try to get it. It was very competitive to get on the show. I think there was 75. I think they probably shot about 70 plus places around the world, and I think 28 or 29 made it, and we made it. So the funny story is they told the best story. They told how it came to be. They got Ken's wife, they showed the place, they did a really good job. And then the last day, I think we were just doing all interviews. I got mic'd up, we were doing all this stuff, long days, awesome fun people. But then I got fully cut. And I told Ken I got fully cut. And I told Ken, like, I would have cut myself too if I was editing this, because they told the best story. And like, as a, I like to making videos and movies and stuff. I'm like, that's what I like, is the story. And they told a great story. The story of the cave isn't so much anything to do with virality or any of that. It's the essence of the love and passion for hockey and where it came from this family. And they put their time and effort and picked away at it. That's the story. And I'm glad they told it. But there's one scene you can see me, and my mom's so proud because I'm taking a drink. I'm drinking like scotch or something. So my mom's like, oh, my son's on Netflix. For half a second, you can see him drinking. I'm like, oh, there's the claim to fame, drinking on Netflix. But yeah, they did a good job, told the right story. So if anyone wants to check it out, I always tell people, like, it's great for, they tell the story, but gives you a good visual. It's a little outdated now. It was a few years ago, but they did the right thing. And so I use it as kind of like our business card of like, go check it out, because telling the stories myself takes a long time, but they did a real good job visually and telling like the backstory of it.
Yeah, and with everything that's in that insane like cathedral of hockey, I would call it like a holy cathedral. Are you, as a social guy, are you just like, where the fuck am I supposed to start with this? Like, where do we even begin?
It's the same thing with Netflix. It starts with the stories, because like I told Ken when we first started doing this and started to learn that we can open doors because it's so crazy and amazing, but like, we're not going to monetize or like set a fee for people to get in. So our thing is the story, the passion, like how it came to be. And I learned very quickly that, like, I'm desensitized to it now because I've been there for years. But we learned pretty quick that, you can only see, it's amazing for like the first 5 to 10, maybe 15 times. So you see the 1700 hockey stick floor. Like anything, over time, it's diminishing returns. But he learned really quickly that we could open doors and get attention probably better than anybody in the hockey world, because of it's handmade, it's built, they're hand punched Stanley Cups and wood and all hand carved and all these nitty gritty things that show the labor of love. But after a while, with those diminishing returns, like as a brand influencer, like what is the next natural step to kind of hopefully getting people, fans, community coming back again? And we learned that that's us. We're dynamic, we're different every single time in the cave and doing things. So, we started with showcasing the crazy creations that got attention. We were able to get CEOs on the phone of hockey companies in like a day. One of my favorites, we got Howie from Howie's Hockey Tape. We sent a DM with photos, and the next day I was still working in government. He's like, oh, you're good for a call at like noon, whatever. I was still working in government. Ken came down and picked me up on my lunch break. We sat in a parking lot and had a call with Howie from Howie's Hockey Tape. And he's just the nicest guy, super supportive. He's like, yeah, whatever you guys want, go on the website, do a full blown order list of what you want. And they sent us everything that we asked for. And we were like, is this so, I feel greedy. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Awesome and stuff.
Exactly.
It was such a nice gesture. And that was a good example for me that like, we're onto something here. Like, he just wanted to hear about the cave. Like, we weren't even doing business or anything. Yeah. It was just like a cool hockey fan to hockey fan thing. And so we've, tried to always pay things back in return, whether, if they send $500 worth of gear, our model has always been, we are doubling or tripling the return. So like, if you spend 500, I want to give them $1,000 of assets, live streams, promotions in our head internally. We're not sending invoices or anything, but we always are super loyal to the people that helped us for that stuff. And so we always want to make sure that we pay back. And that's what I would say to any kind of content creator influencer. When you're working with these brands, just double or triple your return back to them, especially if you enjoy the process of creating for them and their brand. They'll want to continue working with them and then building that relationship. But yeah, we knew that the cave could open doors, but we didn't really know kind of what doors, and some doors like Netflix opened up from it.
And you kind of mentioned being desensitized to that, being around the hockey fan cave, but what are those moments like where you actually like snap out of it and you're like, I'm a guy that came from a government job and now I'm making videos for a guy that I really love working with, and they're hockey videos, and this is the stuff that I want to do. Like, what are those kind of snap out moments like?
Well, Ken's always creating. Like, the cave's never done. So like, I was there
of course
2 days ago and he had already either switched things up, moved things around, built something else, like what pops in his head. And like, Ken doesn't hunt, fish, golf, this is what he does. And that's what I think at times people will have a hard time with, like, oh, a lot of time with it. It's like, no, like you're off golfing for 5 hours a day. He's working his ass off to build these things, hunting down sticks, doing all that stuff. So for me, it's seeing how much work, and it works great because he puts it into the physical, I put it in the digital. We're both working our asses off on that front. So it's a good like working relationship, I guess. But for me, some of the things that really snap me out from it is, you know, the people that want to see it and kind of living vicariously through them when they do come and hear the stories and stories that I've heard so many times, but it's seeing them light up of like, holy crap, I can't believe this is here. That's where it kind of takes me back to like, I've taken it for granted for it. And then some of like, obviously like the big things like the Netflix, that's a very cool thing. Through connections and people we met was as a, you know, filmmaker, content creator, photographer, whatever you want to call it, got into a gifting suite with the NHLers and got to film and shoot like Mark Scheifele at the All-Star game in St. Louis on the red carpet, like a media stuff. Like those are the big high level ones, but honestly, some of the best nights and some of my favorite memories is literally just having drinks in the cave, shooting out on the tiles, playing floorball or on the tabletop. Those are kind of what I consider like the good old days, because those are more consistent and available than like Netflix or working with NHLers. So those are, like I said, keep the big things that are bonuses, but the minute day to day of just being there, creating content, having fun, having it all based on fun, being dumbasses. You know, the older brother, younger brother mentality of chirping each other, you know, goes right along with hockey and sports. And yeah, it's all based on fun. And that's what we really, really think has, I don't know, made it successful.
Yeah. And do you guys ever have a block where you're like, we don't know what the fuck to do today? Like, do you guys ever have those moments?
No, we're both too creative and it's way too easy. And we are very blessed with all of Ken's creations. Like we did threw up a TikTok, we were sitting there having beers and Ken has a bench. It's a bench like this, and then you press a couple buttons up top here, and it folds up, and now it's like a picnic table. So it like transforms.
This
So
motherfucker's
Ken
a
just
mad
like did that. I'm like,
scientist.
all right, we're gonna do TikTok. Found the song. Like 8 minutes later, we had content up and done. So we're fortunate with Ken's creations of giant goal sticks or giant gloves or 9-foot Vaughn goal pads. It makes it really easy to create because we're not really creating from nothing and we're already using something that I know will get some attention or some views, whatever you want to call it, kind of worth the time to do it. So, and that's just like one part of it. We have the tabletop, we have our coach's corner, we have the 12-foot bar, and then Ken put a little addition on, which has only wood sticks in the floor. So that's just all vintage wood sticks. We call it the cabin. And so it's not, no, it's a dream for like someone who needs content to create. Any photo, anything's usually going to do well, or you know. And I think for us the hardest part has just been like everybody else for the past couple of years with what's going on in the world, of like I couldn't get there to document, and like doing those things and trying to stay safe, you know, hindered it like for everybody. But yeah, I'd really love to be able to have it a Monday to Friday full-time job, go there, content create, whatever, for businesses and so forth. And then it's just, once again, just built off of having fun and just trying to enjoy the moment of creating, whether that's building creations or building videos.
So how'd you get into hockey in the first place as a fan? I feel like everyone has those moments where they see the game and they're like, this is the right sport for me.
Yeah, well, mine's different, and I kind of don't even want to tell it because I know the Cave fans, Cave Nation is just gonna rip me apart, but I'll tell it for you.
Sweet.
Yeah, no, so I played every sport under the sun at a very high level. So football in high school, baseball, tournament teams, volleyball, basketball, all that level, like pretty high level stuff. And I played soccer too, which was kind of one of my main ones. And then played hockey as well up to about 12. And I had to decide between hockey and soccer because of the competing seasons. And it was like that age where you're starting to get into like travel and expenses. So I chose soccer because it was cheaper for my parents. And I was a player back then. So I was a defenseman. So I chose soccer. Long story short, went through, played. I got a university scholarship and paid for my university school here in Victoria. And then in 2011, we won nationals. So I pretty much called it retirement from soccer for that. But around, 2010, 2011, I had always played in net for road hockey, or I loved hall hockey, just being goalie, having a glove. I loved the gear. And just took my income tax return one year at school, and I just went on the Craigslist or whatever and bought a used set of gear. And then it was just like a drug. Like I had played all these positions in different sports and played everything under the sun, and hockey goalie was the thing that made me feel like the only position in sport in this world that I was like built to do, which is so different from playing like a striker in soccer or like a setter in volleyball, or safety in it. Like there's elements there that you love and enjoy as an athlete, but as a goalie in hockey, that was like I was meant to do it. And so that was just like a drug in my veins, and started my own beer league team through my old work, and then met Ken about 5-6 years into that. And then so he kind of came in, the cave kind of came in right at that time where the drug was really hitting hard, of falling back in love with hockey and everything. So yeah, kind of started with all sports to hockey and soccer, made the decision to go to soccer, and then called it quits after a pretty nice career and benefits from doing that. And then hockey's been that ever since.
So what's the best beer league team name that you've seen so far?
Oh man, good question. There's a lot. We did an interview with this one for like our little cave YouTube show, and they were a peach, and it was called Little Cuties. And it's not so much the name, but I loved it. They just looked like kind of like pastel orange colors. But it's the story was they got that name because like they were playing one team, and this one guy just kept calling them Little Cuties, even though they were just like pumping them with goals. It was like 10, whatever. I think it was like, it was a really cool story about how they got their name. And it just always stuck with me because it's like, I think he was calling them like soft and sensitive. So they made their logo like a peach. It's very vulnerable or something. So I just remember howling at like that whole story. Once again, me, it's more about the story and stuff behind the things than it is so much about like the beer league, Mighty Drunks or something like that. So whenever I think about those, I always think about like, what is the meaning behind those names? And that's what the value for me. So that's why I love the Little Cuties name with their logo and everything.
Yeah, so my brother-in-law, he plays beer league hockey, and he plays in a couple of other leagues, I think. And he was like, you got to ask people these questions, because like you'll get some great team names out of it. Little Cuties, I did not expect that one. That's crazy.
And that's usually like I said, it's all about the story behind it. Like you could find something that's clever, this,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, but I just love hearing the stories behind it, because that's for me is like the value and the equity is like how it came to be.
Well, even just look at the NHL teams. Like the reason why most hockey fans hold like the original six in high regard is because of the stories behind the original six, of being founding members and all that stuff. And
right.
Even the Maple Leafs, like how they were the Toronto St. Pats and then went to the Maple Leafs and all that type of stuff. Like hockey is one of the sports built on, kind of like baseball, built on stories and history and stuff like that. So who do you think's winning the Stanley Cup, Colorado or Tampa Bay?
I'll just let my attire. I think I've got the old retro Nordiques, and then I've got the bench clears Avs pants. So I'm always big on new people winning it. I love McKinnon. I mean, I don't know how you can't like McKinnon for how good he is, what his contract is. It's unreal. And I really love the coaching. I think all around that. I mean, Tampa's great too. Like it's hard to argue against that team. As a goalie, I'm a big fan of Vasilevsky. And so like, it's kind of like one of those, like he deserves to win another cup. I don't want Tampa to win another cup. So it's always hard because I feel that if you're a fan of real fan of hockey, you are more of a fan of players than you are so much of like your team. Like I'm a Pens fan, but like I'm cheering, as you can see, I want the Avs to win because I love McKinnon. I like Kemper. I like them in Arizona. I want those guys, Landeskog. Like I want those guys to get a cup. Like I wanted McDavid too, because I don't want McDavid to go down as like the best player to never win a cup.
Yeah.
But that is, for me is going to be Avalanche based off of liking to see new teams, new people to do it. But, if Vasi gets another one, he'll go down, or probably is already going to go down as the best Russian goaltender ever.
So who's on the Mount Rushmore of goalies?
Oh, Kirk McLean, because that's how I got into it. That's who I love.
Good pick. That's a dark horse.
Yeah, my wife got me I think it's back there for one of my birthdays one year, like a authentic Kirk McLean jersey. I always wanted to like Kirk McLean. I'd love Grant Fuhr. I'd love to meet Grant Fuhr. Eddie Belfour. Mostly the guys that I grew up watching in the 90s that I, hitting the ball against the fireplace, doing windmills that I watched on Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday night with my dad. Going back to your thing about the story and nostalgia and that. Those are the ones that I would put on my Mount Rushmore. It's a different level if you're just going off of stats and certain things, but for my own upbringing into hockey and goaltending, I would say I'd throw a bunch of the 90s goalies on there, especially like Potvin, like some of the gear in the 90s was just so iconic.
Dominic Hasek's face mask is one of the, it's so weird but visually appealing at the same time. I don't understand.
Like Archer's Urbase, like those ones there, it's so different and unique. And now there's some rules and regulations, and I mean, thank God, because I don't know if those would hold up to like an OV one timer with the new technology. But,
oh my God, no way.
Yeah, there's a lot that I would say you could almost put any of the 90s main goalies on my Mount Rushmore.
That's fair. And I had a direction I was going. Oh, with some of the teams are bringing back like third retros. Are you a fan? I'm torn on this sweater. The Buffalo Sabre, like Saberhead jersey. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yep. 06. I don't know if I hate it or if I love it. Do you like it?
I'm a huge fan of anything that helps produce nostalgia, because it's like the hardest emotion. Like when I get into making videos and stuff, if you can make an audience feel nostalgic, that's very hard to do, because nostalgia is so personal. But it is an emotion that is so powerful. Like if you have that where it takes you back, whether it's a smell, a scent, of whatever. So I love any of that stuff, hence the Nordiques and all the other, I don't tell my wife about all the bench clears gear I have in the back there. I think I have some out, but the rest of it is hidden.
We'll keep those bank statements hidden away. We'll keep those hidden away.
Yeah, we'll keep those hidden away. Sorry, honey, if you're watching this. But, I think I love it because it, once again, the nostalgia takes me back to that time, Hasek, like all those things. So I think it's always good to kind of keep remembering where we came from for those. I wouldn't go the far to say like that's on the same level as hate or not detesting like the Islanders fishermen.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a runner.
That would be probably farther along, where like that's nostalgic for a different reason. But that was pretty amazing time for the Buffalo Sabres organization, especially what they've been going through lately. That they need to hold on to whatever they can of the good, because it's not the best right now. So I would say absolutely bring it back. Have the tanks and bench clears. I think anything nostalgic, you're going to see a lot of people run to and want to do it, because like we just talked about, for me, anything in the 90s, I'm like all for and rocking some from that time. So I think it's good for the Sabres especially.
So is there one sweater that you hate in the NHL now that you think, or not hate, but do you think is the worst one out of the 32?
I never really liked the Wild jerseys because it felt Christmas colors.
I could agree with that.
We were in Minnesota, and we were friends with Bill Guerin. So Bill Guerin texted us tickets when we were there for an expo, and I got to see all the jerseys up front, detail close, like not just on ice and stuff, but like in the shops and stuff, and the people wearing it. I'm like, these are a lot nicer. So that was one where I would say was at the bottom of the barrel for me, but then actually getting like experience with it and touching it and like seeing it. We don't have a Wild jersey at the Cave or anything, or myself. So that was at the bottom because it just felt like Christmas colors, kind of bland. But I really do like the detail of it up close. So I would say that was at the bottom for it. they're doing such a good job nowadays with these jerseys. It's really hard. I really hope they don't go too far with the logos on them. I'm okay, hopefully making some money with, whatever PPG paints or whatever logo
Like
on
the
them.
little helmet
The
sponsorships.
helmet one's fine. Let's not go to the European level or elite.
Oh
like
yeah, that's my
NASCAR.
biggest concern too.
I think everybody's looking for that. I hopefully they'll do a good balance of it. But yeah, I would say probably at the bottom barrel was the Minnesota one until it. So I'm not sure which is going to be the one that's taken over the bottom for me.
My suggestion would be the Dallas Stars, like they did like the blackout ones. Those I think are horrible.
Absolutely. You hate the blackout? Oh,
I hate those.
I like the blackout, but I like the blackout with the goalies, with the gear. It looks great. Like their kits and stuff all match nicely. One of my first beer league team that I mentioned that I started, we were working at a place that had the color scheme as a Dallas Star. So I have a soft spot for anything Dallas colors, because my actual goal pads right now are black, green, and white. So I think I'm the only person on the island here in Victoria who has green pads.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah. Last thing, who do you think should come on the show, but you have to help me get them on the show?
I think one of the coolest people, and this is the coolest people, but he's also was the Cave's first ever partner that we worked with, and that's Vinny Sauce from Hockey Sauce Kit. Vinny is one of the nicest humans ever, and the quick story why we are dead set loyal on him is, especially for me, kind of being like, not the marketing, but like the outreach guy, kind of, responsible for that for the Cave, is Ken's son Landon. When we first started, he was 16, and so he's a busker, playing the guitar, really good guitarist. So he's busking down in the Inner Harbor, tips and all that. He was saving up his money to get a Hockey Sauce Kit. We'd seen it, with like, oh, this would be amazing, perfect for the little rink in the back. Landon was going to save up, $200-300 or whatever it was, which just takes a little bit of time for a 16-year-old. And I just wrote a letter or an email, long one. Here's the Cave. Here's the photos. I would love, in my head, going back to kind of the vision, we wanted to do like pretty much replace mini golf, but with sauce. So you would have a sauce course of 5 holes.
Oh, yeah.
And so we would like set up, we would need this much. We would love to do actually play like mini golf with sauce around the outside of the Cave. So we put this whole thing on there, and it was like the very, 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 even before the Howie's thing, very first time we had reached out to it. So I was like, I don't know, we'll see what happens. Pretty cool, unique place. And get an email back. He's like, guys, I absolutely love it. I'll send you whatever you want. And one of my favorite moments, that I called Ken, and him and Landon were in the car, and I was like, yeah, the Sauce Kit got back to us. They're going to send us like a couple sets of kits. And we all lost our mind. And we were like cheering, like I could hear Ken and Landon, like I can vividly remember this. And the reason why Vinny is so dear to us at the Cave and Hockey Sauce Kit, he was the first one that took a chance on us. There was no requirement. This was just a good dude seeing the labor love hockey. And, over the years, as we've got to meet quite a few times, just a lovely guy. One of the best products out there for summertime. We love them. We've abused them. They're great. And he's just an amazing human. So he's definitely going to have some stories on the hockey side and the business side, which I think would be great for this. And I can definitely help you out with that.
Yes. Makes my job easier. Thank you, Jordie. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Just so for me, the biggest value was like, loyalty right there. We're like, nope. We're all Hockey Sauce Kit. We're all in on this. Like, he took the chance, saved Landon like $600 in gear, sent it out. He sent us like replacement kits. I think we used the first kits for like over 5 years and just got new ones. So like we use that a lot. So those
things are indestructible. I just got one through Bench Clears, and it's I've only been playing with it for like a few days, but it's indestructible. You can't break that thing.
Well, and we're working with Vinny on one. I don't know if it's super secret or not, but it's not like a product, but it's more for a video. Is Ken's making a life-size sauce kit.
What the
on a real net?
Ken is just this mad scientist that just does.
Well, we don't really say no when we talk about creative ideas. It's like, how do we make it work? It's like, okay, there's going to be like a little bit of cost. We had to find somebody to do it. So Ken's kind of manning that up. But
Yeah.
we're going to do a video with my stuff in the cave and the sauce kits and all the stuff. Like, once again, working with amazing people has been always, and fun people has always been our like mandate, and Vinny is right there with it. So we're going to be working on something with we have a net, and Ken's working with kind of getting it all set up. So we will have full working and transportable. Ken figured out a way to transport it. Real hockey sauce kit that you could take down to the road and play sauce, even though it's going to be just a big net with a sauce ramp.
And I do mean this in the most endearing way. Ken just sounds like Doc Brown as a hockey fan. Like that's what
Pretty
Ken,
much. Add in some Tim Allen and you're set. That's pretty
sweet.
much it.
I got the comp.
Genius, and like, just knows that's his like realm, and he's the expert of it, and then can vary off on a few things, but you kind of don't want him to, because he is brilliant in that lane for it. So that's why we always consider like the Venn diagram. Like, I can't build things, but I'll help him in the middle with creativity. Like, what if we did this? And like, good idea. Or vice versa. Like, what if we did this? Like, one of Ken's best ideas he ever did, which is funny with tech, was he's like, live streams came out on Instagram, and my plan was like, we will set a date, we'll do it once a week, try to build anticipation, get questions. Ken's like, fuck it, why don't we just go live now? I'm like, oh, okay, like not, and I'm like, I'd rather plan, like try to get started. And that's what helped take us and skyrocket us a bit with that, and build, we call them Cave Nation, a community, because when we go live, we want to answer every question. We hate it when we go and watch these people and they're just like staring at it and they don't answer the questions. So I try to do as good a job as I can, engaging, and that. So we learned big time that's huge for building community, is just a connectivity. So we started seeing views and the response, people like, that was awesome. Now it's like, we don't plan, we'll just kind of go, like, we're going to go live and we just do it. And that led us to one side story on this, if you don't mind, but
yeah, no worries. I love a good side story.
So all the live streams, we had a family who was like, we'd go live and they tune in, and they would cancel like their family outings to watch our live streams. They would all sit on the couches, they'd have their own devices, and they would ask questions, and we would talk. And we became such good friends over like the 3-4 years that we were they're in Rhode Island and we were in Boston for a charity event. And so we added a day or two and rented a car and drove out, met them at their house. Holy shit. Cooked us dinner, gave us beer. And then we stayed the night, and we hosted a live stream with them in their house with the followers.
That's nuts.
So
holy shit.
Amazing people, still good friends to this day. Just like, we're driving to people's houses we've never met. Like, this is the stuff I advise my kids not to do, and here we are.
Yeah, exactly. It. As an adult, you tell your kids not to do it, but like,
do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was an amazing experience, just like a lovely family. Like, I wish we had more than 1 night, 2 days, because we had to catch our flight. But those are the moments I'm more proud of than like the Netflix, for sure. Like, we built great friends. Going back to the moments, those are the moments that stick with me more so than some of the shooting Mark Scheifele, in a private suite. That's cool, but like, the bond and the moments when I think back to that trip is so much more valuable for what we're doing and what we consider we're doing here or at the cave. And
I feel like these type of stories you don't get from any other sport community. Like basketball, you would never hear of like a basketball account going to like another basketball fans like family and having dinner.
I don't know. For us, we're simple guys, and we just want like good people, good moments. We don't need super fancy, going to those things are great and fun to do. But the best part is when it's like, just having beers across the bar with good people in the cave who love hockey, get what we're doing. And then they just want to help. What are you guys doing? Sunglasses or like, we might need someone doing video for this event or whatever. And it's like, that's the power of the cave. But then also putting ourselves on camera, showing the personalities. Like, so it's not just like, who's doing this? Like the cave open doors gets people into like the live stream, for example. But then it was us on camera making fun of each other, bringing the community in on it, that started to build this bond. In this example with this family, that they opened their doors and fed us. And Ken's like, so wait, we're driving to these people's houses. They're going to feed us. We're going to drink their beer. We're going to sleep there, then leave. I was like, yeah, I guess when you say it like that. So we ended up, one of our viral hits that we did. So they're like not a product, but I guess a prototype, but they're Islanders fans. So Ken made those, those little small beer Stanley Cups. You get them in the beer cases. So Ken took 2 of those, and Maria, the wife, loves heels. So he took those, and I'll send you the photo, but he took the 2 Stanley Cups and put them in the heels of high heels.
Holy shit.
Like that's, yeah, like, and she just like lost her mind. So we brought some gifts. I think we took them, we gave them one of the 2 foot tall replica Stanley Cups, which is a very long story, but most people don't know those actually come from the cave. And the very first wood prototype was handmade on a lathe by Ken's father-in-law, which in the cave is signed by 130 plus NHLers: Jean Beliveau, Gordie Howe, Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr, named to name a few of the older ones and stuff. So that one that's signed by those 130 is the first wood prototype that's now led to these getting licensed by the NHL. That's a whole other story. That was all done before I even met Ken, but a lot of people don't know when you see these 2 foot tall Stanley Cups that came from Ken in the cave before the cave was there.
My head just exploded. Holy.
Yeah, like this is what I mean. We always try to tell people, come to the cave. Like these are the stories, once again, as a story lover, we really enjoy, because that shows that this is, once again, not just a credit card buying place and we're tons of money and we're just going to do it. It's like, this was built on labor love. Ken and Landon met all 130 of those NHLers that signed them. Like nothing has been like purchased to meet them or anything. It was all meeting them. And Gretzky was the first one to sign the wood one. And then it just took off from there.
I'd be shitting bricks if I saw Wayne Gretzky and he was just in my house. I'd be like, what is my life right now? What is happening?
And, I just would recommend, if you want to see any of these stories, I would just go to our YouTube. We did a
feel free to plug whatever socials.
Ultimate Hockey Fan Cave on YouTube. I wish I had the time to keep doing more and more and more of it, but just really busy with other things. But there's one that I would recommend people check out for some of the big stories. We entered into the Budweiser Chief Hockey Officer competition. We didn't win, but that's the video where I delivered twin Zambonis out of the real Zamboni as a doctor and gave birth to the young Zambonis. But that's really neat story told in that I'll do a very high level quick job of it, which is just, once again, to show you the essence of the cave, and Ken especially. Ken was up like 20 minutes from here at a coffee shop, and he overheard an old guy talking about he won the Stanley Cup. Ken's like, okay. So he goes and talks with him, and he's like, yeah, no, I did. I think he won Calder or something else. And so he's like, I'll meet you back here next week to see the rings. And Ken was kind of suspect. And the guy came back and they had coffee, and he did win. His name was Harry Taylor. He won in 1948-49 with the Toronto Maple Leafs, I believe.
Oh, shit.
So this was the year of the lockout. And all the old, during that time, because in 48-49, obviously they didn't have a day with the cup. So these old guys were now, during the year of the strike, were getting their day with the cup. So Ken reached out and got in contact with NHL, and very long story short, Ken ended up hosting the Stanley Cup in the backyard for 8 hours for this gentleman to have his day with the cup. So he walked in, he knew it. I don't even think, I could be wrong on this, but his son came with him, but I don't even think his son knew that his dad had won the Stanley Cup or something. His son broke down in tears, super shocked, like didn't know any of the story. So that is in that video. And so Ken had the Stanley Cup in the backyard. This is before the cave, for 8 hours, hosting it. And then they went in, the funny story, they went inside and watched some stuff on the TV and memories, and the Stanley Cup was just in the backyard with no one around it. For like 45 minutes. He says, like, yeah, someone gonna walk. Like, I could imagine if like I walked in, I'm like, no one there. So that's part of that video. Ken tells the story. I find some of the news clippings, the Chief Hockey Officer one, where we tell a little bit about Ken and stuff. So Ken did this for this gentleman who then, I think 2 or 3 years later, passed away, and then ended up getting, Ken reached out to the Leafs, and the Leafs put something on there during one of the Saturday Hockey Night in Canada games, like in memory of him after he passed away. So that was all.
It's incredible. That's incredible. Incredible story. Jordie, thank you so much. Really appreciate all the stories, man. Follow Ultimate Hockey Fan Cave. follow Jordie, follow Bench Clears, all that good stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, please, so we can get more guests on, and hopefully we'll get Vinny Sauce on here soon. And in the meantime, everyone, have a great day, live life to the fullest, and let's enjoy this Stanley Cup final. All right, let's enjoy it.
Well said. Thank you for having me. And if you have anything we can do for the hockey community out there, and guys get to Victoria, let us know. We'd love to have people over.